Welcome to Season 3 of GyrlSense. I'm Maria del Carmen, your host. Today's special guest is Nikai Fondant. Nikai is an example of today's young women who are taking control of their lives and making a difference in the community. Nikai is a program associate in a scholarship department for the Community Foundation of Western Massachusetts. With that said, Nikai, welcome to the GyrlSense family.
Thank you.
I am so happy that you drove. What should have been the 20 minutes, but you're here, you made it.
We made it.
We made it. We're on time.
Right.
I've known you for a little bit now. Like, I know your mom, and when I see the pair of you, you're both figures in the community per se, right? So I have to start off by literally saying, if I could just clone you 1,000,000 times over, the world would truly be a better place. Oh. So thank you for all of the efforts and what you've already done in the community. So that's what we're going to really talk about today,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Someone of your age group, of your background, and gender, and all the stuff that you've accomplished today.
Awesome.
So first and foremost, let's talk about family, because family is always first. So tell me a little bit about your household.
Well, I mean, luckily I have both parents in my household. I have my mom and my dad, who's here today.
Hey, Dad.
And I am the only child, which is really cool. And
Wait, did you say you're the only child?
I'm the only child.
I'm the only child.
Woo!
That I did not know.
Yeah.
Or at least I grew up as an only child. I do have a sibling when I got older that I found out, but I'm an only child. So.
Oh, I see. So you know the
Awesome.
Experience.
I know the experience.
Exactly.
I have my imaginary friends that I want to take out sometimes. Even as an adult, right?
Yes. Which is, yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to have both my parents in my life, and they have been able to dedicate so much time to me and their careers as well. So I've gotten to have a really hands-on experience with them, which is really cool. I really liked it.
That's great. That's great. So you are a recent college graduate.
Yes.
What was your major?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Yes.
And that seems to sound nice and sexy type of, career move or career choice, because there's, marketing today means so different than when I was growing up. Yeah. So, but competitive.
Yes,
right?
very.
Do you have a clear understanding exactly how you want to utilize your marketing skills that you now have?
So I think I'm still on the path of discovering where exactly I want to utilize my marketing skills. But I'm loving the fact that I landed in nonprofit right after college.
Yes.
And I'm in this space where I use my marketing skills wherever I can, in speaking to different audiences and doing social media campaigns for my program, or even for the position that I work full time at the Community Foundation. It gets woven in there.
It's transferable, right?
It's transferable, which is a beautiful thing. And also, it's given me a lens of what I want to do with my marketing and how responsible I want to be with my marketing. So if I do...
So what do you mean by that? Responsible? Like, what to you seems irresponsible these days?
So I think that there's a lot of controversy around body image and the images that are being portrayed of specifically minority populations, Black and brown bodies. So I really, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right, and I want to focus on the positive images and putting out something that young girls or young people can really relate to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. And so now, whether you're not in that true sense of a marketing career per se, but you are a working professional without any less tags behind that. But what have you recognized you know, during the time that you were being raised and in your upbringing that you recognize today that perhaps you may have taken for granted, whether there are lessons from your parents, whether it was a teacher at school, you know, what about your childhood that, you know, not many children do have both parents, you know, in there, so let's just start there. But other many facts or experiences that, you know, it was the norm for you as when you were upbringing, but now that you're adult, you can really, really appreciate those experiences because they've carried on with you.
Yeah.
What are some of those?
I think the biggest one that comes to my mind, and I always preach this to my girls as well,
Yes.
is the sense of community that we had when we were growing up, or at least I had a strong village of people who were looking to pour into me and help me become who I am today.
Okay.
Whether that was people that my parents associated with and their social circle, or even my teachers when I went to Robert M. Hughes Academy Charter Public School, all of my teachers were Black. So it's like in those types of things where you just have the role models, you have the people with very educated backgrounds who were always trying to inform me and to build me up. That has shaped me in a really beautiful way, and I've always wanted to be that person now in my community where I get to be that person paying it forward in a way.
So that's very interesting. So I'm not sure that I really, I'll phrase it this way. There's so much emphasis today, whether it's in suburban schools or even at work, you know, there's all these magnitudes of programs under diversity and inclusion. And, you know, kind of let's speak real, right? Speak real in the sense that kind of an afterthought. And many times, right? Kind of an, like we've always kind of like been here. So, yeah. But we're, you know, so, but it's, I'm glad that it's in the forefront now. But you mentioned that, you know, you grew up and the students and all the teachers look like you.
Yeah.
And that really makes a difference.
It does.
Because even in college or at work, or to find those role models, mentors, you know, I think it's just default. No matter what your background is, you kind of gear towards to somebody that looks like you.
Exactly.
So, you know, thank you for sharing, because that is something that one would take for granted
Yeah.
growing up. Like, what do you mean you never had an African American teacher?
Exactly.
You're like, that is my norm. You know,
Right.
what do you mean?
Exactly.
So I can appreciate that. And I will also say that I am from Windsor, which when I, growing up, you can count the amount of minority teachers that we had as well. So, and we are still very much in touch with them as an adult. I mean, I'm 48, and I know my minority teachers as of today because we gravitate to exactly what you mentioned. So, understood.
Yeah.
You've surrounded yourself in a newfound community in Western Mass. What are some of the organizations or programs that actually connects you there?
So right now, I work for two organizations, which is the Community Foundation of Western Massachusetts. I'm in their scholarships department. And I also work for the Women's Fund of Western Massachusetts, which is, they have a Young Women's Initiative, which is basically a leadership program for young girls. And I'm their youth development coordinator. So I'm kind of like their peer mentor. I help facilitate sessions. I help bring in speakers, take them on field trips and all of these things to kind of see them through the program.
And so let's just start with your full-time.
Yeah, sure.
They're probably both full-time, right?
Well, right now we're doing full-time at the Community Foundation and part-time at
But
the
it may
Women's
feel
Fund.
full-time, I'm sure.
Sometimes, yes. But I love it.
Oh, but with your full-time, what is the organization exactly?
So the Community Foundation is a charitable organization that takes money, or at least manages money from donors in the Pioneer Valley, which is Western Massachusetts, and funnels it into different grants and scholarships and all of these other ways to kind of give back to the community. It's a nonprofit, but it's a different type of nonprofit where we kind of manage the money side.
Sure.
So we do a whole bunch of different things in terms of funding nonprofit organizations, and we're expanding into a whole bunch of different areas to kind of help be that source for the Pioneer Valley.
And so what great exposure is that for you to get the language under what it actually takes for grant writing?
Oh, yeah.
Which is a skill in and of its own. It's a whole new, a different world. And the experience in, and or the learning the importance of, collecting, of donors, because without these donors, there wouldn't be a foundation to give out back to the community.
Exactly.
So to highlight that is very, very, I think, rewarding to hear. So yeah, you are in the community making a difference. And then now tell us of your quote unquote part-time position.
Oh yeah, so I work for the Women's Fund of Western Massachusetts. Like I said, I am the Youth Development Coordinator for them, and our program is for young women ages 14 to 24. They go through this leadership program where they're taught about social justice, racial and gender equity, economic empowerment, and all of these other topics that they don't typically get in schools. And they go through a series of workshops with women leaders. Like, it's not just me and my coworker who are teaching these courses. We are bringing in women, specifically women of color, to come in and teach these subjects to these girls and serve as a resource to them and mentors. And we take them on different field trips to expose them to different topics and to different ways they can get involved in their communities at such a young age. Right now, actually, they're going to be speaking at a public hearing, which is for the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. And they're going to be testifying about the issues that they see going on in their community. And
very good.
Yeah, we've had a track record of actually seeing some results from that too.
How exciting to hear, especially in today's climate.
I know.
So tell me, who is eligible?
So they have to be residents of Springfield. That's the biggest one. Ages 14 to 24, and they just have to be willing to step in and learn and be open-minded.
And do their part, and put in their efforts.
Yes.
And what are the criteria, other than the age?
So the other criteria is just, we are targeting women of color, young women of color. That is a big deal for us. But otherwise, there's no real criteria besides the fact that they have to be 14 to 24 and a resident of Springfield. Those are the two main ones. And they just have to fill out an application, and we go from there.
Wow. Do you see this program, or and if you can't say, that's okay too, but do you see this program expanding, opening its doors to other kids in, outside of Springfield and possibly even out of state?
So we are actually a part of a national collaborative. And YWI, which is the Young Women's Initiative. There are women's funds and YWIs all around the country. There's one of Birmingham, of Minnesota, New York, LA, Dallas, Texas, and we're all doing the same type of work. We're all sitting here and trying to empower young women's voices and to kind of make them the spectacle, or at least have them use their voices in a positive way. So we're pretty big on that spectrum, but in terms of a local level, we would love to. I think that's still in the works, so TBA.
Now, tell me, and obviously without mentioning names, but tell me about your experience with these young girls? Do they come in with the knowledge that perhaps you had at their age? Do they come in, do you feel like they're more advanced as far as awareness of what's going on around them, whether it's socially, politically, or, you know, anything tied to women or their rights? Or so, like, how do they come in, and how do you see them adhere to exactly? Because they may sign up, but they may not really understand what they're signing up for. So once they actually learn, what's the feedback from that?
So I have gathered from, we're in our second cohort, and seeing the girls from beginning to end, and now we're in the beginning again with our second cohort. Yes. The girls we have a mixture. We have girls who are, like, their mind is there, they're seeing what's going on in their community, but they're not exactly sure how they want to affect, change in their community just so readily to do that. Sure. And then we have girls who are light years ahead of where I would have ever been at their age, and they are, actually out there and really affecting change. You'll see that usually within the age range, because we go until 24. Sure. So we have a really cool balance where some of our older girls serve as mentors. But one thing that I can solidly say is that from beginning to end, the girls go through a very beautiful transition where they open up personality-wise. Okay. Some girls will come out of their shell. Yes. They'll use their voice a little bit more. They're thinking a little bit more critically about the issues that they're facing. And some of them have even gone on to become advocates for different causes that they've become and that they've experienced. And it's a really cool thing to see. Like, it happens on an individual level. Sure. Where, of course, each girl is different. Right. But overall, they've all blossomed. But
it must be so rewarding to kind of, because assuming that this is what happens when you bring in the speakers, the topics most likely vary from all levels. But to be able to be in that classroom or in that workshop, and whatever that topic may be, could be something that may be current events, and to be able to connect. To be able to connect what the lessons in class with the real world. So I think that's the difference between, like, a regular school classroom. Exactly. It's almost like, I don't know, statistics, or like math is like my enemy, right? So when will I ever use that? When will I ever use, until I started baking. And then, like, oh my gosh.
Like 1/4. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Fractions are real.
Exactly. But to be able to apply conversations, to be able to apply, the lessons learned in class to the real world and connect. Or maybe they've walked in somewhere else and they hear, oh, we just had that conversation somewhere else. So I wonder, do you know of any that brought back their life experience? Oh, remember when we were talking in class? I heard that somewhere else. Has that happened? Or either of you asked the students this, or did they volunteer the information?
So I'm sure they have.
Sure.
I know that the girls have said, like, you know what, it might not be like a topic where they're like, oh, we were just talking about this in the news. But one thing is that these girls, when they meet the mentors, they're like, I reached out to this person, and because of this person, I was able to do this. One of our girls, she was applying to colleges, therefore she was at our mentor match, which was a really cool event where older women could come in and serve as mentors, or at least kind of bridge that communication so that they can actually meet some new people. And one of the girls, she made a connection with one of the women, and she said, hey, I know you're trying to study psychology. This is someone who not only works at your school, who's in psychology department, but also might be able to look you up with a internship at the end. So, and she was able to get that internship. So it was a really cool opportunity.
So opportunity, but what they're really gaining is the skill of networking.
That too. That's
right?
a huge one.
And I think it might be happening without them realizing.
Yes.
Right?
Very much so, yeah.
So that's great, because if there's one thing that many adults just haven't, they just don't have they don't want to go there, they don't have the time, they're frightened, whatever it may be, as much as they want to network, something pulls them back.
Exactly.
So to be able to learn that without knowing that you're learning it, it becomes natural. So that is great to expose them to that.
Yeah.
So I know you are passionate about women empowerment,
Yes.
about leadership, and about education. And just a couple of nights ago, we just elected over 100 women
Yeah.
into Congress, right? So when did you realize that you can be all three of those titles and be a woman as well?
So that's a great question. And I really thought about this for a while. And I reflected back to, just running for student government in high school. And I was like, you know what? I think that I can bring something different to this table. And it was a very transformative experience. And just kind of moving up the ranks as I got into later years in high school, where I was student body vice president and I was on the Judiciary Council, yearbook editor. I was everything.
Yes.
I did so much, but I knew.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
I know. I know, I was just so hungry, and I really just wanted to have the different experiences and bring my take on to different things, because I knew I had a lot to offer, but I knew which avenues I wanted to take to kind of test those out and test what I can do and what I can organize and bring about. That's when I really think, Nikai, you got it, and you can bring those three qualities to the table.
And when you did bring it to the table, what were some successes?
To think back, I've actually had quite a few, and I know they seem, I wouldn't say that they're small, but they were really big to me.
Sure.
We had a diversity day where we would bring in, or at least people who had different topics that they wanted to explore or do a presentation on, they could do that. And it was my job to bring in our keynote speaker and our opening act. And I was the only Black girl in my graduating class, and I was bringing the culture to my diversity day. Awesome. And what I did was bring Dr. Amakar Shabazz, and he talked about Black history. Yes. And just kind of walk them through that. And then I also had an African dance performer come in with the drums and dance and do all of these things. And he brought the students up and taught them. And it was a really cool moment for me, because I was like, yes, we did it. Which it was a really awesome moment. And there was also another time where at that time I was living on campus, and there were so many girls at the end of each year. The girls would put their the stuff that they're not going to take back home, because I lived on campus with all the international students. And if they can't take it back on the plane with them, they would leave it out, or just different items that, these are good things. So I said, you know what? Let's do a win-win. So I organized a tag sale for all of the international students, and even some the day students if they wanted to participate.
Sure. And
we had a tag sale on the last day of school, and some people really made a lot of money.
Wow.
And it was
what a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
I know. I'm just surprised by my own self, the fact that I could actually organize that. We got the permit. We did all of these things. And it was a beautiful day. So we just had people pull out their tables and sell their things.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Going back to what you mentioned as far as like bringing in like the drummers, dancers, and you know the whole culture, and you being and we're talking college now, right?
No, that was high school.
Oh, high school. Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that received? How was it received with?
It was welcomed with open arms.
Oh my God, that's
honestly,
wonderful.
yeah,
Good.
I was very happy with the response. People loved it, and even I think it was my senior year of college. It was senior or junior year, and I got an email from one of the students who were a 6th grader at that time, and he was like, "I'm just letting you know that you were the best VP that we had."
Aww.
And I remember that moment when you brought in all the dancers.
Oh, that's
I was
awesome.
like, "Thank you." I was so
Everyone
happy.
cry now.
I was like, wow, I didn't know I did all that. But
yeah. So
was
then that's
great.
the thing. You never know who you're going to touch.
yeah. You
And it
never
could
know.
be something you said, something you did. You know, this thing about us, and I'll include myself in, individuals like us, when we walk into a place, an organization, I don't know, in a conference, whatever it may be, a school, whatever it may be, a party, and we realize that we are in the minority, our antennas go up because I think it's a natural thing, right? And sometimes we're like, boy, oh, geez, now what? Kind of like, okay, we got to bring it on. We got to still be us or whatever. But you know what I really think? I really think that the other side, or non-minorities, are actually a lot more interested in understanding and knowing. But I also think that even they are intimidated in the sense of they don't know how to ask because they feel like they don't want to offend, you know? So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes it does take us, as what you did, to say, you know what? This is me. I'm going to bring it to you. You know, you don't have to ask. I'm going to bring it to you and kind of like see where it goes. So, and see it was well received. And then you get all these thank yous and you're like, oh my gosh, it worked, kind of. And then, so I think that's been my experience as well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Thank
you wanted to add?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that serving in this role, I've always been in spaces where I love to educate. I love to, like, answer people's questions because people ask out of genuine curiosity. And I've always been open to the way people approach me and, like, try to take a step back and see where they're coming from and really try to gauge from there. So that, I really do appreciate that education piece.
So you've described yourself as a young Black woman hoping to uplift and encourage others of all backgrounds to become better versions of themselves.
Yes.
So tell me very briefly of an individual who did become a better version of themselves, like a success story.
Honestly, I think, well, one, let me just say that everyone is in a position where they're trying to become better, and it's a constant, ever-growing source.
Yes.
But I do think that I would say that the girls that I interact with, I remember we were talking about how you dress, and we were going to go to some event, and they were asked to dress in business casual. And one of the girls said, "Oh, Nikai, I really like the way you dress because the way you dress, it's classy, yet still stylish at the same time. And I just wanted to let you know that the way you carry yourself, it inspires me that I can go on and do these things." So it's like,
that's
oh,
great.
yeah,
that's wonderful. Because I think those type of etiquettes, as far as etiquette, whether it's how do you dress for business versus pleasure, is lost. So So to have someone to kind of like look up to individual to say like, okay, I got this. I understand this style and it'll work for me. I think that's important, especially for women today. I know you sit on 2 other committees.
Yes.
But what does Nikai fondant do for fun?
Well, one, or at least I think about 3 things. I love to shop. Love shopping. And it's really bad because, you know, I should be saving and doing all these things, but, you know, looking cute is cool. So I love to shop. I love to travel. I've traveled so many places since I've graduated from college, and I've kind of made it a point to go and do that.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing experience. And I love to dance. I think most people who know me is that I am a dancer.
Right up my alley.
You know? It's my favorite thing to do. I mean, I grew up dancing, I think since I was about 8 or 9.
Okay.
And that was more like ballet, liturgical,
yeah,
and all those
yeah,
things.
yeah.
But I still love just like, you know, dancing when a good song comes on.
Absolutely.
So,
yes, I
those
think it's just a way of expressing ourselves, right?
Exactly.
My family ignores me already at home.
Right. My parents already know when the music is on, don't even try. They're gonna have to join in on the dance party.
Nikai, what message would you give to a classroom of 5th graders that happen to all be females, knowing that they have so much to look forward to?
I would say dream big. 1, don't let anyone get in your head about what you want to do. Don't let anyone stomp on your dreams. Keep pursuing. Find a way and empower each other.
That's a good one.
Yes, because I think that in our society today, we've developed this culture of tearing each other down and diminishing each other's successes. But really what we should be doing is empowering each other and feeding into each other and helping each other out. So on an individual level, focus on what you want to do and pursue it and be passionate about it. And on a group level, just support each other, empower each other.
And at the other end of that question, what message would you give any adult women out there who have lost their way as far as what they aspire to be, career-wise, passion-wise? You know, they may feel that it's too late, they're too old. So what message would you give that group of adult women?
I would say it's never too late. Always, there can always be a way where you can pursue your passion. It may not be in the form that you would have imagined when you were younger, but you can always join an organization or just a support group or something like that that kind of gives you that leeway. Networking. Mentorship doesn't always have to be older to younger, you know?
Exactly.
So there are different ways to just get out there. It's just a way of getting out of your comfort zone and putting yourself out there.
You have one of the biggest hearts I know.
Oh.
I have no doubt that you will surpass all of your dreams. One day I will see your marketing successes in some marquee somewhere.
Ooh.
I will continue to be supporting you along the way, so you can't get rid of me that easy. And I want to thank you so much for joining the GyrlSense family.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm Maria del Carmen, your host. Visit GyrlSense.com for more information about our guests. Join us again for more GyrlSense.